Now, for those completely new to this controversy, there was a controversy, and I think there it was legitimate over Wonder Woman and Justice League. The basic long story short is that we see a scene where Gal Gadot, the Flash is on top of Wonder Woman, and they both look very, very uncomfortable. Apparently, it's being done for comedy's sake, but basically, it's like the Flash falling on Wonder Woman's breasts, and we're supposed to have a laugh riot moment. And the rumor is that Gal Gadot did not want to film it, she did not want to do it, and they used the body double. And when we actually look at this particular scene, we never see her face. So it's very hard to believe that that's Gal Gadot. So apparently they just had this scene because Joss Whedon, he's a sexist, just wanted to have it. And, Joss is really evil and sexist now, so he obviously was up to something nefarious. But we really don't know for sure. But I do think they're correct that that scene looks really strange, and it was probably being forced into the script as they changed the Snyder Cut to that abomination in 2017. But now, not leaving well enough alone, some anti-Joss people are going crazy and just trying to make up stuff. And listen, if they want to be super critical of Joss, I think that's fine. Some people love Joss, they go overboard at the other end. So you got to be ready to take a little bit of hate. That's perfectly fine. But now they're trying to search for stuff to, quote, confirm their bias. And that, I think, is very dangerous. I don't support that. I think that's really silly. And they tried to find some scenes in Avengers as way to bridge the gap. So they're saying, well, maybe he's done this kind of things before, with mistreating women. And so there's a scene in Avengers where it seems the same thing happened with Scarjo and Black Widow. That, however, is not matching up because Scarjo is supporting Joss, so that's not jiving together. But maybe she's a traitor to her whatever gender, although she puts herself out there as a feminist. She's been to a couple rallies. That doesn't make any sense, but okay, maybe that's possible. And you can say, okay, fine, Scarjo supports Joss. That doesn't take away from what happened in the movie itself. But here's a problem that Joss clarified in commentary, and as far as I know, there's no contradictory evidence that he was not behind that idea, that the focus on Scarjo's breasts in the Avengers was a Mark Ruffalo idea. It was just a joke. He came up with the idea. They thought it was good, and they went with it. So even if we're going to go all the way down that the Avengers has some suspicious sexist moments, they're not necessarily by Joss. And this has been clear and clarified by other people that yes, Joss is the writer-director, but he's not alone. Auteurs, in some cases, can be auteurs, but they're forced to do things that they don't want to do, or there are pressures from the production. Not every single moment or decision can be attributed to the director. I mean, Dune, 1984, is a perfect case where clearly Lynch made a lot of his own decisions, but he also made decisions because that's what the producers wanted, that's what Frank Herbert wanted, and he had to be mindful of what the author wanted, he had to be mindful of what the production company wanted. He didn't have complete liberty to do whatever he wanted. You can be an auteur, but have a lot of constraints or limits placed on you. So I'm with them in spirit that we should be critical of Joss's canon. If some people were being overly admiring before, that was a mistake. So now we're correcting that mistake. But it's another thing entirely to just seek out information to find something problematic that was never really problematic to begin with, and to try to make problematic based on false information. That is not a good idea. I think that's a very, very scary place to go into, where we're attributing things that never really happened just because we don't like somebody now. If people don't like Joss now or perceive him as being abusive, that's fine. If you think Joss is generally abusive and you don't want to have anything to do with him, I think that's fine. That's your prerogative. But I think, quote, making everything in his canon problematic based on a ideology, I think that's a very tricky road to walk. I'm not comfortable with that. I think we just want to take a case-by-case basis. I still think there's a lot in Buffy and Angel, as well as Firefly, that's perfectly fine. There's a lot that is genuinely problematic, but that's in the text, that's in the mythologies. We should go through those carefully. But just assuming Joss is evil, whatever, misogynistic, monster of the month, he's Harvey Weinstein, so now everything he touches has the kind of mark of Cain on it, and we have to destroy everything associated with him. I think that's getting very close to like book burning, and just honestly, it's Nazism. It's just really rigid totalitarian ideology, and I think that's very scary. And in this particular case, there's no basis for it. You can have a joke about breasts that does not indicate any abusive ideology. It's just a weird comedy moment. Maybe it worked for some people, maybe it didn't. I think with Justice League, it's much more tricky. You can enjoy that scene as well. You can like it. You thought it was really good and funny, but I think with Justice League, yes, Joss has a lot to answer for. But elsewhere, I think we want to just come in with more generosity and not preemptively think he's some kind of monster beforehand. And at least that's my take on the situation. Thanks for listening.